Peace and blessings. Welcome to my channel. My name is Taj Utsi and I'm a certified financial coach. I am also the founder of True Financial Coaching, where our mission here is to educate, enlighten, and equip individuals with the financial literacy that is needed in order to get off of the rat wheel. What is the rat wheel? The rat wheel is when one is constantly financing objects that go down in value for them, but up in value for the banks at the same time. The wheel is only powered as long as the rat is in motion. So, when one is constantly financing depreciating objects, they continue to keep that wheel in motion. It's not until one wakes up, realizes that they are the rat that is powering the wheel, that they can then create a plan in order to get off of the wheel. Once they create that plan and then they implement that plan with consistency and discipline, then they allow themselves to become free to do what they want when they want, instead of having to do the things that they don't want. Today's video is, wow, it's a special one for me. This is the day that I am officially 100% debt free. 100% debt free. And this has been, wow, it's been a wonderful journey getting to this point of being completely debt free. So last week, by God's mercy, I was able to pay off my mortgage. I have no more mortgage payment. That was my last debt. Oh man, it feels great, man. It feels great. It feels great. Knowing that I accomplished something that I had set my mind out to do back in August of 2020. If you look at the thumbnail, that's what those dates represent. 8/20/20 was when I started my journey to being debt free. And at that time, I had, man, I listed, I mean, it's so, I can't even describe how I'm feeling right now. But at the time that I did it, I started my journey as far as putting into action the plan. I actually anticipated it would take longer than what it did. So like when I first started, when I made the plan, I wrote everything down, and I got it on my phone. Let's see if I can pull it up. But I made a just a just what they make people call like a vision board, I guess. But to me, I just make taking notes, just writing the stuff down, writing my thoughts down, writing my plan down, and wow. So I had made like Dave Ramsey had inspired me a lot. So I had made my own like baby steps, whatever you want to call them, but just my own steps. And I had titled it Steps to Becoming Debt Free. And my first step was seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto thee. And that for me, that was definitely number one. And God is always gonna be number one. And on this journey, that's what I did. Even before I started the actual implementation of it. And I've shared this before, but back in 2018 is when I made the prayer, like, Lord, help me to become fiscally fit. Like, I was just tired, man. I was just tired. So that was the prayer. Fast forward 2020 is when I put everything together. But that was my first step, seeking you first the kingdom of God. And that's definitely important. And even along this journey of becoming debt free, God had manifested himself so many times and in so many different ways to let me know that, like, this is the right path and that he's going to help me. And he helped me in so many ways. You know, like I said, a lot of I anticipated me getting out of debt in 2027, but we plan and God plans. God is the best of planners. But that was my first step. So I wrote all this down. Step two was to acknowledge that you are in debt, and I had to do that. Like I said in that last video, people in debt only speak debt, and they really don't even know that they're speaking debt because, and this is gonna sound crazy, people in debt don't even realize they are in debt. And the reason why I say that is because most people think that debt is just so normal, right? It's become normalized where they just believe like you always gonna have debt, and it don't gotta be like that. It really doesn't. As I often say, because a thing is common, don't make it normal. And debt is common. It's very common, but it's not normal. And once you realize that, look, what's keeping me living paycheck to paycheck, what's keeping me going to a job that I hate is debt, then that's how you acknowledge it. And then you can, do what it takes to eliminate it. And a lot of people don't even, care about their debt, which tells me that they don't care about being free. And like I said, the shirt says, you know what I mean? Doing what I want because I'm debt free. And when most people that have debt, they don't even realize how it's keeping them tied to that job that they hate. It's keeping them tied to the banks, keeping them tied to that depreciating object. They don't even realize that. They don't even realize it. But once you wake up, once you see that you are in debt, and it's the debt, it's not the system. It's not the system. It's not the man. It ain't the man. It's you. I can say that because it was me. It was me, right? Financing cars. That was really my main thing. Just financing cars. Just get in the car, pay it off, and then something happened to it, jump into another one. Finance. Instead of having a emergency fund and just getting the vehicle fixed, I would jump right back into another car, finance vehicle. Doing what? Keeping that wheel going. So yeah, once you wake up and realize that you are in debt and that's what's keeping you in this financial rut that you're in, right? Once you wake up and realize that, then you can get on your way. But that was my second step. And like I said, I was inspired by Dave Ramsey. You know, his baby steps a little slightly different. I did a couple of videos on that, but for me, this is what I had to do and wrote my things down. And I said, after step three for me was determine the total amount of debt that you're in. So after you realize that you're in debt, you got to know how much debt you're in. And this is a thing a lot of people don't know. And a lot of people scared to even look at their debt. That was me, man. I'll tell you. I'm trying to tell y'all, like, I can only talk like this because I've been there and I got out of it. So that's how I'm able to say the things I'm able to say. Like, people scared to even look at their debt, scared to open up mail, scared to answer phone calls. Like, man, that was me. I didn't even know how much debt I had. I knew I had debt, But I didn't know how much debt I had because I thought that, well, if I don't look at it, out of sight, out of mind. And that's the only deceiving yourself. So you got to sit down and look at all your debt, calculate that, add it all up, add it all up. I had it down to the penny. I had it down to the penny. I added it all up down to the penny. But you gotta know that. You gotta know, and this is going to be a large number. And for some people, it's going, maybe larger than others. For young people, they may have a couple of $1,000 of debt, a couple of $10,000 of debt, and I understand why they feel like panicky because they haven't lived long. So this what they have is like man, it's like nerve wracking. But when you look at people that got 6 figures worth of debt, like myself, I had 6 figures worth of debt. I had 6 figures worth of debt, and my total debt at the time when I did this, back in August of 2020, was $120,033.06. That was including my mortgage. That was including the finance car, my student loan. I had took out some loans against my retirement, my 403B. I had some past due utilities, all that. 6 figures worth of debt, a little over $120,000 worth of debt. But before I did this, I didn't know how much debt I had. I didn't know. I knew I had it, but I didn't know. And then when I looked at that number, I said, "Man, you can't be afraid of it. You can't be afraid to add up your debt. You can't be afraid to do that because it ain't going nowhere. It's not going to go nowhere. So you got to look it straight in the face and attack it." That's what I did. So after that, the fourth step that I wrote down was organize your debt from least to greatest. Right? And that's what I did. That's the debt snowball. Put them in order. And I'm a strong proponent, advocate for the debt snowball strategy. Why? Because I understand that paying off debt is more about psychology. It's the psychological, it's the mindset than it is about the numbers, the math, right? And like I said, I put my debts in order from smallest to greatest. And I looked at these debts and I said, look, I got to do something about this. So what did I do? After I did that, I created a budget. That was the next step because I can't attack the debt unless I have a budget, meaning I know where my money is going. I know where my money is going, so I don't got to wonder where it went. And like I said, 2020, at that time, I had been working with the school district for like 20 years. And all those years, I never budgeted, just tracked my money, right? I knew I had bills to pay, knew, due dates, whatever, but I never budgeted. I would just pay and then, all right, that was it. But I never, in a budget, when you're planning in advance, that's what a budget is. You're planning. You're planning in advance. And because I didn't plan, because I failed to plan, then I planned to fail. For 20 years, I was planning to fail simply because I didn't have a plan, right? I failed to plan. But once I created a plan, once I created the budget, I'm telling you, when I first created my budget, I was like, I was shocked because I said, wait a minute, I got more money than I usually have. Did I miscalculate something? I'm thinking, I like, wait a minute, I forgot something, but no, I ran the numbers again, ran the budget again. Nope. And at the beginning, when I first started budgeting, I made some mistakes. Like maybe the first couple of months of budgeting, I made mistakes. So it was new, but but just the fact that I had extra money, it was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. But like I said, when I first started off, made some mistakes for the first couple of months, probably first few times. But then the more I kept doing it, it just became like clockwork. It was like, man, all right, because everything basically the same. All of your expenses are the same. Your utilities, because I had set it where I had a budget plan on all my utilities, budget billing on all my utilities, where I paid a set amount every month. That way I know, all right, this is what's going here, this is going there, this is going there. And when I did that, I'm telling you, the more I did it, it was like clockwork. It was like clockwork. It was like riding a bike. And even to this day, I still budget. I still budget because I understand the importance of a budget. And with a budget, you're in control of it. And like I often say, a lot of people look at a budget as if it's something that's a restrictive thing, but the budget, it's an organizer. It's a tool to organize one's finances. You're in control of the budget. You get to dictate and maneuver where the money goes. So don't look at it as, well, budget is for broke people. Yeah, it is for broke people. It's for broke people that's trying to not be broke anymore. And that's how I was. See, broke, to me, a person is broke because they make poor decisions with their finances. See, when you're broke, you have the finances. It's just that you're not using it right. So this is what a budget is for. So a budget is for broke people. But when you keep using the budget, you won't be broke anymore. You won't be broke anymore. If you wondering why you living paycheck to paycheck, because you don't have a budget. If you wondering why after the first weekend of getting your paycheck that you don't have any money, it's because you don't have a budget. You don't have a budget. A budget, again, is a tool, but I heard somebody saying this is good. It's a true statement. A budget is also a reflection of what you value. Because when you create your budget, if most of your money is going towards eating out, that's what you value. Most of your money is going to most of your money, or the chunk of your money is going towards savings. That's what you value. So the budget is a reflection of your values also. What do you prioritize when it comes to your finances? Have to have a budget. I've recommended this book in one of my other videos, a live stream I did a while back, The Richest Man in Babylon. And I'm telling you, if you haven't read it, it's a quick read, and they have the audio online on YouTube, audio book on YouTube. But if you haven't read it or listened to the audio book, I strongly recommend you do that. That book changed my mindset. It changed my mindset. It changed my mindset. It's so many good, and I might do a video on that, on the principles within that book. But it's so many good gems in there that it'll make you look at money in a whole different way as far as the managing of it. Money's just a tool, right? But as far as the managing of money, it'll help make you look at it in a totally different way. I would read that book so many times. I've read that book so many times. I don't listen to the audio so many times because, again, when it comes to the finances, it's a mindset. When it comes to getting out of debt, it's a mindset. And when you change your mindset, you would change your life. And that's with anything. That's with anything. With your weight, with your spiritual walk, right? With your finances. Change your mindset, you change your life. But so yeah, I created, that was my next step. After that was to creating the budget. But after that step, then that's what I said, pay off the debt from the smallest to the largest. That was it. The debt snowball. And I'm telling you, like I said, man, I am a strong advocate for the debt snowball because, like like I said before, and I can't stress this, paying off debt is more than money, like trying to save money on interest. Because I'm gonna say this, the interest isn't the problem, right? Because people that, you know, with the debt avalanche, paying off the largest debt to the smallest, put a debt and with the largest interest rate to the smallest interest rate. Yeah, you're gonna save money on interest. You will. Mathematically you will. But paying off debt is more than mathematics. It's psychological. Because when I did that snowball and I'm telling you, when I had like nine debts. I had nine debts. I had nine debts. And when I first paid that debt off, that first debt off, wow, the feeling that it was after having these debts lingering around for years, and then I got a quick win by paying off the small debt, that motivated me. It motivated me. It motivated me to want to do more to get this stuff knocked out. So yeah, the debt avalanche, you'll save money on interest, but I don't know the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that the completion rate of the debt snowball compared to the debt avalanche, debt snowball is probably much greater. I haven't done the numbers. I might look that up, but I'm telling you, being able to say that I don't owe anybody, that's a great feeling. I have fulfilled the scripture that says, "Oh no man anything." I don't owe anybody anything. I don't owe anybody anything. Paying off that mortgage, and I'm gonna get to the other stuff, but paying off that mortgage was, man, that was a beautiful feeling. Even the lady when I called the bank, I had my mortgage with Chase Bank. I called in. I said, "Look, I made the transfer, did the wire transfer." She said, "Congratulations." Now I don't drink, but she said, "Have a glass of champagne for me." I don't drink, but I understood what she meant. She was happy to just, that I paid it off. And like I said, I first woke up. I woke up in 20. I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what it was. But once I realized what it was, from that time up until this year, 5 years, I eliminated all of my debts except for my mortgage in like 2 years. In like 2 years, probably less than 2 years, about 2 years. So once I eliminated that, then I could attack the mortgage. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for what Dave Ramsey teach, but I often thought, like, when I see these people, he do something called a debt-free screen on his show, and this is when he called people come in, you got to apply for it, and you go in there and you share your testimony, and there's a lot of people in there that come in doing the debt-free screen, but yet they still have their mortgage. So, but Dave Ramsey says, okay, everything except for your mortgage, your consumer debt. But to me, how can you say I'm debt free when you still owe? But I understand why he do it, because he knows that it's going to take a while to pay off that mortgage. It's going to take a while to pay off that mortgage. So that's what he called debt free. All right, But then you do have individuals that come on his show and do the debt-free scream and are completely debt-free, meaning they got rid of everything, including their mortgage. And he calls them weirdos, and I get it, right? Because it is like, how many people do that? I don't know. Not many. I know about maybe two other people that may be completely debt-free, and I know one person got a paid-off mortgage, but they may not be completely debt-free, right? Almost getting there. They getting there, but that's still a blessing to have a paid-off mortgage. I can count on probably one hand the number of people that's completely debt free that I know. I'm not saying that's all that, there might be some people looking on this, but I'm telling you, it's a great feeling to know that I don't owe anybody. And now, once you get to that point, now you can just really attack your investments. Attack your investments. And that's what I did. That was my last step. Step 7. Rejoice and invest. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm rejoicing and I'm investing. I'm investing. And when I say investing, like I say, I don't narrow investing down to stock market or real estate, but also investing in yourself. And as I often say is, to me, it doesn't make sense to invest in something outside of yourself before you invest in yourself. And that was one of my things that when I before I woke up, I remember, and I'm telling you, I remember going into work. I remember going into work on the bus thinking to myself, I can't do this. Like, keep going. I can't do this, man. I was just losing the love of teaching. Not necessarily losing the love of teaching. I'll take that back. But the environment in which I was in, the politics behind the educational system, the all the extra things that came with the teaching, it was like draining, and I was like just tired. But I remember thinking to myself, I gotta get gotta get some way out of this. And I would always think it would be something outside of me. I would always think that. I would always think that. Like, I would always think that. Not realizing that couldn't be anything outside of me, but it had to start with me. And then once it started with me and got that ball rolling, then God would come in. But I had to get the ball rolling. And that's what I did. That's what I did. Just me and my paycheck. That's what it was. I had to pay back all the money that I had borrowed over the course of all these years. That's what I had to do. And it was just my paycheck and I created, like I said, created my budget, created the plan, put my debts in order, and just started attacking it. Just started attacking it. And now I'm at the point where I can rejoice and invest. And I'm investing in myself. I'm continuing to invest in myself. Yeah, I invest in the stock market. I do things like that. But I'm investing in myself, and I got some other things I'm doing. I got on the horizon with the personal finance thing, with this my business, that I'm doing, my service that I provide. I got some other things that's on the horizon. I'll share that in due time, but it's in the works right now as I speak to just expand what I'm doing. And this is what I mean, like, invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. And you can't be scared to do that, but you can't do it until you get out of debt. And I'm not going to say you can't do it, but it makes it easier to do when you're out of debt. Because if you're going into a business and you're in debt, the same way you handle your personal finances is how you're going to handle the business side. You're going to do it the same way because you're going to take those same habits and translate them over to the business side. And this is why some businesses, fall because people take that same debt mindset into business. They take it into business. And I often think, I'm not sure how true this, but I often think like with COVID exposed a lot of business owners. It exposed a lot of business owners. It showed because, and I'm not saying in all cases, but in some cases, the people that businesses died after COVID, the business was already dying. It just took COVID to truly cut it off. And this is what I'm saying. The businesses that survived through COVID because they had things in order. And that's what I mean also with the business of you. With the business of you. COVID for some, it had no impact on them financially. Why? Because the business of them was sound. Others in COVID, they got exposed. I think about that because if you had no debt, had a fully funded emergency fund, 6 months, and in some cases a year. There are people that have a year worth of emergency savings. Do you think those people was panicking during COVID? No. Nope. So this is what I mean about investing in yourself. When you invest in yourself first, then you can invest in other things outside of yourself. And you go into it with a clarity of mind as opposed to going into it just thinking of how I can get paid. And that's the problem. Too many people go into business thinking about how they can get paid. And that's what, and when you go into with that type of mindset, you're going into the wrong way. You want to go into the mindset, how can the service that I'm rendering be a help, be a blessing to other people? Look at it like that. How can when you start a business, look at it from that perspective. Don't look at it from the money perspective. Yeah, you want to get paid for your services, but you're not doing it for the money, because the money will come if you provide a service that people can get some benefit out of. And when you do it that way, I'm telling you, sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. But yeah, I had 9 debts. I had, let me see, I had three, one, two, three. I had 3 loans on my retirement account, 403B. I had 1, 2, 3 utility backed up, past due utilities. I had a car note, student loans, mortgage, and then collection. So really 10. 3, 6, 9, 10. The first 3 I had paid off that month. I paid that off that month. I had a loan for my 403B of like $174.18. Another one, $297.81, and the third one was $369.41. I had paid those. Matter of fact, I paid 2 of them off that month in that August, and then the third one I had paid off in February of 2021. Then after that, the PECO electric company, I had that paid off in no time too. I had all these things. I had them paid off in no time. The last ones were like the car note and student loan and then the mortgage. I had originally projected the car note to be paid off in October of 2021. I had it paid off by April of 2021. I was going hard at that. And again, all the money that the minimum payments that I was making on the other debts, once I had paid them off, I just took that and put it towards the car on top of the minimum payment for that. So I was going hard with that. I had paid that off by April of 2021. And then after that, I just had the three major ones. Right, my fault. The two major ones, the student loans and the mortgage. So when I did the student loans, I was attacking that. I had student loans for my undergrad, which I had graduated back in 2000. So these student loans were still around up until 2021. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not against student loans, but it shouldn't take you 20, 25 years to pay off student loans. You shouldn't have completed your career and then retire with student loans. And the reason why I say retire in air quotes is because although you may be retired, that debt ain't retired. That ain't retired. That debt is still there. And I know people like that. People, teachers that I've worked with may have physically retired, but the debt is still there. I did a video on a lady in her 70s, still got student loan debt. That's insane. But if you don't know, you don't know. But once you know, you ain't gonna look at it the same. You're gonna like, man. But yeah, so I went hard on. I paid off. I had an undergrad, and then I had two student loans for like the master's program that I took. I had paid them off in no time once I got rid of the car. Once I paid the car off. So by 2022, I had eliminated everything except for the mortgage. And then I still had the collections, but with the student loans though, and this is what I mean about how God would step in. So I was paying off the student loans, the two, and I still had the undergrad, which was like I wanted to like 12, close to like I got it right here. So that undergrad, yeah, it was like almost 30,000, like $30,000, and I was just still attacking it. And during the time when I was paying off the student loans, that's when they had um, eased up on the requirements for like PSLF, public service loan forgiveness. And prior to like COVID, I had applied for it maybe twice, and I had got denied both times. But I remember like the second time I had applied, I think I did like teacher loan forgiveness. I didn't do PSLF. I did like the teacher loan forgiveness, and I got declined that. And I'm like, Dad, why did I get declined? And I remember like this was during the journey when I was paying off the debt. I remember one morning just sitting down early, and I still do this, but I got up early, just sit and meditate, just think. And as, in the midst of my thinking, it came to me, you applied for the wrong one. It came to me just like that. You applied for the wrong one. I said, oh snap. So this was like 4:35 in the morning. So I said, let me look. And then sure enough, I looked, I applied for the wrong one. So I got the paperwork for the correct loan forgiveness, did it, and I was on my way to Staples to fax it off. And I got a I got a text from one of my sisters in the church, Sister Janelle, and she had texted me that same day saying, Taj, I think you might have did the wrong one. I said, I know, I'm at Staples now. I already figured, like, so that's what I'm saying, man. When you really have a mind to do something and you keep God first, God will always guide you in the right direction. Always. I'm a firm believer of that. Put the paperwork in. Not too long after that, got approved. Everything was wiped out. And they gave me money back because I paid off. I was putting money down on the student loan, and they gave me money back for that because they said I didn't have to do it. So that was in 2022. Yep, because it was like I had to wait though. So that was like in May of May or June of 2022, but I still had to wait because they had to process everything, but it was already a done deal. So it really got eliminated like in, I want to say like October, August, I think August, September, October, between those 3 months of 2022. Beg your pardon, it might have been 2023. Yeah, because I took my sabbatical in 2023. So, yep, 2023. So from August 2020 to like May of 2023. That was like 2 years and like what, 8 months, 9 months, where I was debt free of everything but my mortgage. So then with the mortgage, I was just paying regular, going harder, putting a little extra here and there, and I was just going hard with it. And I could have had it paid off earlier, but it was some things that was happening in my life. Like I said, with my mom's passing, so I had to still take care of some things. Me and my brother was taking care of some things. But once that all got taken care of, then I was able to just throw a whole, put it all towards that. And like I said, knowing that back in 2020, when I first did this, up until now, I even said in my, like I would track this like every 2 weeks. I would like making updates to the the debt. But I had put, God willing, I will be debt free by the age of 50. And I had estimated that I'll be paying off the mortgage in 2027, like March of 2027. But this is what I mean when you keep God first and you be consistent in your works, because faith and works, you got to have both. I had faith, I believe God, but then I had to put the work in. And I think for some people, they have the faith aspect, but the works is not there. And I truly believe when you put the work in and God see you putting the work in, he'll come in and help you. And that's what he did. That's what he did. Because I was able to pay this mortgage off by my plan 2 years early, but really, so I got the mortgage in 2002. So, and I got a 30-year mortgage, so which means it should have been done in 2032. But I had did a loan modification, so they took what I owed, put it on the back end, and kind of extended the loan to like 2043 or 2045. So I think it was 2045. It was either 2043 or 2045. But either way, that's like 18 to 20 years earlier. And this is what I'm talking about. It does not take 30 years to pay off a mortgage. It don't. That's a program. It don't take 30 years to pay off a mortgage. Not if you do it right. You can have a mortgage paid off if you do it right, 5 to 7 years. If you do it right. What do you mean do it right? Pay extra on the principal every month. But you can't do that until you get rid of all the other debt. And then just pay extra on the principal. And when you do that, the time window is getting smaller and smaller. And then before you look up, you're going to have it paid off. But you got to stick with it. You got to stick with it. And that's what I mean about having the faith is needed, but you got to put the work in. You got to put the work in. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to still be where you are. You're going to start it for a little bit, and then because you don't see the progress like you want it, you're going, no, just keep at it. And like I said, you're going to have some setbacks and some speed bumps along the way, but stick with it. And I'm telling you, when you stick with it, you're going to see results. Because I often say, like, the time is going to go by anyway. So why play around back and forth? I mean, why play around with it? Just stick with it. The time is going to go by 5 years were going to go by anyway for me. It was going to go by anyway. But had I gave up when times, when things didn't look like it was going my way, then I wouldn't be here today sharing this with y'all. I'll still be at my job. I'll still be going into a place that I was sick and tired of. Still be dealing with people that I was, because I had to. Stick with it. Being able to say that I owe no man, I owe no man. It feels surreal at times. But man, I'm telling you, like I said, this shirt doing what I want to do because I'm debt free. That's the truth. That's the truth. That is the truth. And I even still think man, like I don't have a 9 to 5 job. It don't even feel real. Why? Because I was so programmed for 48 years of, well, not 48 years, but from 18, I started first working, I was like in 10th, 9th, 10th grade, 14, 15 years old, up until 48. That's 34 years of programming. So now when I wake up, it's like, yo, I ain't got to go to work. I don't got to go to work. What? I still got to get used to this because I'll be sitting sometimes telling my wife, like, wait a minute, like, this is my life. Like, I don't gotta go to, like, I just wake up when I want. I wake up early. go out when I want, travel, and like I said in one of my videos, I don't got to worry about getting back home and missing a flight. I mean, getting back home to be to work. I don't got to worry about that. I don't got to worry about that. I don't got to worry about asking my boss for sick time or days off or whatever. I don't got to worry about that. I don't got to worry about that. I can go to lunch at any time I want and come back and finish lunch whenever I want instead of worrying about having a 30-minute lunch, 5 minutes to get to where I want to go, 5 minutes to get back to where I got to be. Now it's really 20 minutes that I got to eat. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about lesson plans. I don't got to worry about deadlines. I don't got to worry about boring meetings. I don't got to worry about that. I don't got to worry about people calling my house. And that's another thing. With the collections, I paid that off. I owe maybe close to $1,600 in collections I had. I settled that for less than half. And that's what I'm saying. When you got the money, you can negotiate. You can negotiate. It's like even the other day I went out and I bought a car. Not financed, but I bought a car. And when I was at the car dealer, I was in there, and this is what I mean. These car dealers, they in the business. They don't care. They just in the business. They just in the business of selling cars. I was in there. It was a small dealership, but they were good. I ain't gonna say my emotions getting in the play way. I say about they good people, but I would go back to them again. I would say that. But I was in there, and he was on a call with a potential buyer, and he was like, asked it was a young guy. I can tell by his voice, and even when he got off the call, he was like, "Yeah, how much you looking to finance? Well, what type of vehicle you looking at?" He said, "Blah blah blah." How much you looking to finance? He really didn't know. So the dealer was like, "Well, the car costs this amount, so he gonna have to finance X amount of dollars." He said, "What's your monthly net income?" The guy monthly net income was under $1,000. When he said the amount, the dealer was like, "Your monthly net? That's your monthly net?" He was like, "Yeah." I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, about to take out a loan for it was like $9,000. Your car payment is going to be more than half of your monthly net, probably. Like, that don't make sense. The guy on the dealer was like, "Look, I'm gonna call these banks. Somebody should be reaching out for you soon." All right, he hung up. The dealer look, he just shook his head. He was like, "This guy interest rate is gonna be so high." He said when he don't have his credit was not that great or whatever. He said the banks that I deal with people like that, the interest rate is like 19, 27%. I said, unbelievable. I said his monthly income is like $800. I said, how he's gonna be able to afford that? The dealer was like, "I just sell them." That's what I mean. And even the dealer was like, "See, the people come in." This is what he said. People come in, and I show them the paperwork and the final amount that you're going to be paying at the end of the term with the interest. He said the car can be like $9,000. They're going to end up paying $20,000. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what I mean by the sticker price don't apply to an individual that's financing. The sticker price don't apply to the individual that's financing the vehicle, because when you finance, you're saying, "Look, I'm willing to pay more for this depreciating object than what it is worth." The sticker price only applies to cash buyers. He said people come in, old people come in, trying to finance cars. I'm thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. But this is the American way. And this is what I mean. It's common, but it's not normal. He said, I'm just in the business of selling the cars. And this is what I'm talking about. I remember going to car dealerships to finance cars. Man, they be playing so many games. Going back, talking to whoever they was talking to. I come back. What's your monthly payment you want? I'll say some whatever price. All right, let me see. Go back. Can you do this? Like, I'm looking at, it's just $10, $20 more a month. Not looking at the long term over 60 months. These people getting loans for 84 months, 7 years. You think that sticker price apply to you for a 7-year loan? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Just like with a mortgage, a house. That sticker price on that house don't apply to you if you got a mortgage, because you're going to be paying 1.5 to 2 times the cost of the sticker price with interest, because of interest. I went to the car dealership with cash, got what I wanted. I said, I got cash. What can y'all do for me? I already had a price in my mind. I wasn't paying what you said on that. I'm not paying that. I'm not paying that. What can you do for me? We can do this for you. That's what I'm talking about. We got a deal. I walked out of that place in about an hour, because he had to do all the paperwork and whatnot, and some other things. It was less than an hour. When I was financing things, that would be an 8-hour day, a whole day almost, 4 hours, half a work shift. Why? Didn't know. Didn't know. Most people tolerate the disrespect at work because of debt. I'm trying to tell you. Trying to tell you. When you get out of debt, you're gonna look at everything differently. From the money, from the financial side, the work, the job. You're gonna look at all that. You're gonna look at that differently. When I started getting out of debt, paying off my debts, I started, man, that job I just looked at it for what it was, just a tool. That's all it was. Like I said, I love teaching. And like I said, for teaching is not just narrowed down to in a classroom. I began to despise going into work every day. I love teaching, but I began to despise going into work every day. And when I started getting out of debt, working on getting out of debt, I was, like I said, one of my favorite movies is The Shawshank Redemption. I love The Shawshank Redemption. I felt like Andy Dufresne, just going in, keeping my head down, digging my escape, little by little. He used that little pickaxe, but he kept doing it little by little. Consistency, little by little. Consistency over years. Did it in silence. He did it in silence. And that's how you got to move. You can't let everybody know what you're doing. You can't. Just do it. I ain't let too many people know what I was doing. I only just outside of my household. Probably a few people knew, but I did it inside. Nobody on my job knew. I was just digging. Like Andy Dufresne, if you never watched Shawshank Redemption, just digging my way out. Just digging my way out. And then once he got out, he was free. He was free. That's how I feel. I'm free. I'm free, man. I retired at the age of 48. I didn't need the system to tell me when I could retire. I didn't need the system to tell me when I can retire. You don't need anybody to tell you when you can retire. Retirement is not an age. No, it's not an age. You can retire whenever you want to. But you can't retire with a whole lot of debt. There's a lot of like rules of thumbs, calculations when you can set your retirement. There's something called the financial uh, independence number, FI number, your financial independence number. And there's a group of people called, a community called FIRE, Financially Independent Retire Early. And there's a lot of cool principles in there. I followed them for a little. I've listened to their principles. There's a couple of YouTubers out here that, but even with that, so they say like take your estimated or your expected expenses in retirement, multiply that, uh, find out how much that's going to be a year, and multiply that by 25. So if you say, I'm just keeping numbers simple, right? Say your monthly, uh, your yearly expected expenses of retirement is 20,000, right? So 20,000 times 25 is half a million. So that means your goal should be to have a $500,000, $500,000 in like savings and investments in order to be financially independent to retire early. That's what they say. And the reason why they say that is because there's something called the 4% rule. Once you hit retirement, you can withdraw on your investments at 4%, right? 4% every year you just withdraw, where you'll never run out of money. It's a study they call the Trinity study that calculated that. At how long could you go? At what percentage could you make withdrawals on your savings and your investments without running out? But even with that, that's all subjective. Because if you retire with debt, okay. But if you retire with no debt and your expenses are low, and this is what I mean, like it's a good target rule of thumb, but you got to know what's for you. You got to know what's for you. And that's what I did. I didn't have to need all that for me. I knew what I knew. I knew what I did. How I live. I don't need a whole lot of stuff. I don't need a whole lot. I don't. I don't need a whole lot. I don't need a whole lot. I live a very simple life. Very simple life. And I'm content with that. Some people, are otherwise. So you got to know what's for you. You got to know what's for you. But I will say this, life is not expensive when you don't have debt. Life is just do this. Calculate all the monthly payments you're making towards debt. I'm not talking about your utilities, groceries. Those are expenses, right? Rent, those are expenses. Calculate all the monthly payments that you're making towards debt Not even your mortgage, because you got to have somewhere to live. But if you want to do your mortgage, fine. If not, fine. But credit cards, car notes, right? Payday loans, student loans, calculate all that, add it up. That's money you can have in your pocket every month. It feels good, man. And I'm not saying this to boast. I'm saying it to help people, to inspire people. I did it. I'm serious, man. I did it. Anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. Anybody. You just gotta want it. You gotta want it. Anybody can do this. It ain't about the income. Does it help to have a good higher income? Yes, it does. But even with a low income, it can be done. And yeah, you want to, and as you go along, you want your income to increase. One of my first clients, my first client, and he probably, I don't know if he's watching, but we talk about this a lot. His income was very low, and this is what I mean. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. About don't matter about the income, and if you keep God first and you put the work in, he'll step in. And I'm gonna bring him on. I'm gonna bring him on. Me and him talk about this. I'm gonna bring him on because I don't want people to think I'm just making this stuff up. I'm just talking, right? It's other people that I work with that we talked about bringing them on, and in due time, I'm gonna do that. But this man income was like low. Never budget. Never really budgeted. He did. He wasn't consistent with it. Little debt here and there, but not too much. But it was for him. He was a young guy, but it felt like a lot for him. But me on the outside looking in, that's not much. But he stuck with the plan. We created a plan. We helped him create a plan. Me and him sat down together. We created a plan, budget, a plan to get out of debt. He stuck with it. He stuck with it. He never had money. He never was able to really save money. He was able to establish that, and he felt good about it. He had a little hiccup, but he had the emergency fund. And this is what I mean, because that happened to me. Had your emergency fund, then you get a hiccup. Something happened, and then it depletes the emergency fund. I believe that's a test to see if you're going to stick with it. Because it's easy to give up. It's easy to give up. It's easy to give up. It's hard to keep going. It's hard to keep, but you got to want it. And when you want it, you're going to keep going. And that's what he did. I'm not going to share all his story, but he's had a small income. And now, since the time I first met with him, it was last year, I believe, I first met with him. His income, boom, debt getting smaller. And this is what I mean. Anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. You just got to want it. It starts here. Change your mind, change your life. So if you're ready to invest in yourself, and if you're ready to stop doing the things that you don't want and start doing the things that you want to do, come visit me. I can help you get free. I did it. And that's why I'm doing what I want, because I'm debt free. You can get there too. You can get there too. You can get there too. I can help you. I can help you. I can help you, man. I was meeting with a lady the other day. And she said she went to this one place and they told her we can't help you because, whatever, whatever, whatever. I met with this lady. We went over everything. I showed her what she can do. I showed her what she can do. This was after these people that so-called, whatever, whoever company it was, told her we can't do nothing for you. After I got off, right before we got off the call, she was thanking God for me. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm not saying this to boast. I'm not doing it. I'm just saying it that to show you something. And one thing she said was, "You gave me hope." She may not use those exact words. I can't even paraphrasing what she said, but she felt so much better. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I do here. That's what I do. And I'm not saying I know everything. I don't. I don't. I'm just saying that what I can help you with, I know it works because I did it. I know it works because I did it. 5 years ago, $120,000 worth of debt. Now I'm debt free. I got some other things on the horizon. I ain't gonna put it out there yet. Just keep that to myself. And but what I got, on the horizon can help more people and help them more in a deeper way. In due time, I share that information with y'all. But I thank you for all your support. I do. Even if I've had people email me, or when I go to different places and they come up to me and say, you know what, thank you. Like, and they never reached out to me, but they just take the knowledge that I'm sharing and just apply it to their lives. And that's what this is about. My brother Devin often says, each one teach one. That's what it's all about. You don't even got to come to me. You can do this on your own. You can. And I'm thankful for those people that's coming up to me and letting me know that, look, I use what you've been sharing, and it's been helping. It's been helping. I had one individual came and said, look, this one of the first, like, cause most people I help work, in the church we go to. But the individual said this one of the first convocations that I've been to where I didn't have to worry about money because I took what you've been teaching. That's what I'm saying, man. And I know that feeling. I know that feeling too. Going to convocations and then, man, once the convocation, I was like, oh man, now back to reality. I don't worry about that no more. I don't have that feeling no more. I had that feeling for a long time too. I can keep going, but I'm gonna stop. As I say, if you're ready to get off the rat wheel, you're ready to invest in yourself and become free to do what you want when you want instead of having to do the things that you don't want, come visit me at truefincoaching.com. Schedule your consultation so we get you on your way, coming free. Peace and blessings.